Namaste. Hello. Great morning. I thought I would give, since people enjoyed the one writing that I had put out, I thought I would put out this other one for people that are interested more in the whole of the journey. It's called Ego, Bondage, and Illusions of Truth. Okay. All of our emotional bondages are created and held in place by that which is known as ego. Ego is the belief that we are these bodies, emotions, and thoughts. Therefore, when anything goes against any of these systems, we hold it to be an assault against our persona. Depending on our belief system and identity, which is already in place, it can be mildly irritating to downright devastating. If we encounter a traumatic situation where there was a belief that impending death was just around the corner, then that trauma may be rerun again and again and again in the psyche, creating ever more pain and perceived trauma. But there is a way to short-circuit these illusions of truth. For anything that is not liberating, let me say this again, anything that is not liberating is not truth at all, but an illusion of truth. It is these illusions that we will address. How are they created and what sustains them? And if they are illusions, how can we move beyond them? If we are not this ego structure, then what are we? How can peace of mind be attained and preserved? Where do we begin? And where will this search end? Believe it or not, that which you fear the most can be that which liberates you in the end. The largest perceived fear can be the greatest liberator. Please bear in mind, please bear with me in this right now, okay? Right now, you're probably thinking that this woman has a serious screw loose somewhere. And if I were in your place, I might think the same thing right about now. But I've been where you are, and have escaped the concrete fears and thought constructs and emotional baggage which kept me bound for many, many years. I've walked the path. Therefore, I can speak from the position of a direct experiential knowledge and not hearsay. All I speak of has been acquired by direct experience. I do not have a PhD, but rather direct knowledge of truth as it is. It is this truth I wish to share with you today. From the moment we're born, the conditionings begin. And the conditionings in life are set. We're born into this world with a body. Some bodies are seen as perfect and some as flawed. We're born into a family. Some are glad at the arrival and perhaps some are not. So all these things begin to create the conditionings and conditions of our lives. The views of our parents and society and friends all have an impact on our thought structures and perceptions. These all come together to create our basic outlook on life and what we hold to be truth. These create our perceptions of truth. If you're supported and told you're smart, then you have confidence in whatever you do. While, on the other hand, if you're always told you're stupid and ugly, then this will color your world and your view of reality. This colors your thoughts of who you perceive yourself to be, along with all the other events in life, which also color and interplay within your reality framework. One person that has always been sheltered with a loving family will see the world as a kind, beneficial, beautiful place to be, whereas the one that's come from a harsh, abusive environment will see the world colored as a place to be continually on guard, while there are events which unfold in everyone's life which will skew these basic belief systems. Now you begin to see just how much the conditionings create our basic view of reality as we know it or think it to be. Now, with this out of the way, we begin right where you are in this moment at this time. So the first thing we do is to look at the fact that the past is past. So if you're rerunning tapes of the past, let's look at the fact that by running them over and over and over again, you can change nothing. All you're doing is reinforcing the past nonsense that's keeping you bound in some form or another. If it were not keeping you bound, it would have passed right out of your awareness. But for whatever reason that you perceive, you are continually holding on to this perceived slight, hurt, or trauma. And you have to admit it's not doing anything constructive in your life. Now, let's look at the other waste of energy which we continually find ourselves in. And this is the what if factor. Again, I call it the what if factor. Trying to live in the future just never works, as the only place you can ever truly live is in the present moment of now. So, what is happening when you're running the past tapes and the what if tapes? In essence, you're passing life by. You're only existing. You're in a holding pattern, not living at all. You're continually circling around and around. And the more you feed the past and the more the what ifs, they grow into unmanageable cyclones of wasted energy and efforts. As you're attempting to deal with the change and change something that's already gone, it lives only within your illusion of truth. And the conflict is there because of the ego identification with the body, emotions, and thoughts. And in truth, you're none of these things. So now, you ask me, where do I go from here? And from here I say, it's time you found out the truth of who and what you really are. Once you know, at long last, just what comprises your being, then the rest of that which is illusion will simply drop away of its own accord. When these things are no longer given any energy, they will dissipate into the vapors of unreality that they are. Like a drop of dew evaporates in the sunlight, these illusions will dissipate under the light of truth. Are you ready to start the never-ending adventure? Are you ready to begin to really live life to the fullest? To grab and rest in the freedom which is just waiting for you to reach out and accept it? For it's always there and has always been there, and it's only your blinders which keep you from seeing it. Okay? Is your fear that you're nothing and nobody? Is your great fear that of death and that you'll cease to be? Let's go into these fears and see what comes out of it. Let's proceed to look at what's temporary and transient. What is it about you that comes and goes? When you peel away the layers of the transient, what is it that remains? When you come to what remains, you will come to the truth of your being. You will see there was nothing to fear and that there is only freedom that remains. Won't that be a lovely thing to remain, just freedom to be? The freedom of knowing that you are the unbound truth of existence, that all you perceived was just an illusion of bondage and fear, which never had any reality at all, except that which you yourself gave it. So, are you ready to unravel the fears and thoughts and emotions that have kept you tied to the wheel of karma? Are you ready to let go of the desires that keep you bound to the wheel of birth and death? For it's not the actions which keep you on the wheel of karma going around and around and around. It's the thought and intent of the actions. And it's the reactions of the actions which come against you, which once again keep you bound to the wheel of birth and death. Again, let me repeat that. It's the reactions of the actions which come against you and keep you bound to the wheel of birth and death. Birth and rebirth. We keep cycling through the same old patterns again and again until we can break the cycle. And in each life, we will draw the same patterns to ourselves and keep creating the same illusions of truth until we can break free and see them for what they are. And once we see through them, then the pattern will drop and we'll move on to a new experience. Look at your life and see what patterns keep coming up again and again and again. Now, let's walk through the door of knowledge to liberation and the freedom that awaits. What is mind? What is mind? Is it a physical thing? Let's first look here. Let's start here. What is the mind comprised of? Is not the mind comprised of thoughts? And just what are thoughts? Are they some concrete existence? No. Thoughts come and go like waves on the sea. First one thought is there, then another, and so on and so on and so on. One arises and falls, and then the next, infinitum. But there can only be one thought that makes an appearance at a time. Let me see this again. There can only be one thought that makes an appearance at a time. Sometimes these thoughts will start in a whirlpool, one after another, going around and around until you're dizzy and disoriented from the sheer continued motion and cycling around and around. But look again. Even though there are certain thought patterns which keep appearing and cycling, they ultimately come and go. So, if they come and go, they are not concrete in nature but fluid. And like waves on the ocean, they can appear like a ripple, or with enough energy can appear as a tidal wave pulling you out into a sea of emotion and fear and despair. All because they have touched upon an illusion of truth. They come and they rock your world, cause waves in your reality. So let's continue on in this search until we uncover the reality that cannot be shaken. When you come to the truth, you will be set free, as truth always is, and is the basis for all of creation, and all has proceeded from truth, is sustained by truth, and once again will return to truth. And the illusions, being what they are in the end, must disappear. When the illusion is uncovered, it ceases to be. So, we see that mind is comprised of individual thoughts which come and go, one thought manifesting at a time. So mind is not concrete in nature. Mind is an illusion. Mind has no substance. So, let us move on now to thought. What is thought? Thought also has no concrete nature. So exactly what and where do thoughts manifest from? They have no substance. They arise from nowhere and return to nowhere. So, Why is so much importance given to something which comes and goes from nowhere to nowhere? When it leaves out of our awareness and perception, where does it go? It only has life. It only has life while in the framework of our perceptions. When these thoughts float into our awareness, what happens? We give it life by then ascribing emotions to it. Let me say that again. We give it life by ascribing emotions to it. Do we not? When a thought comes, if you look at it and dwell on it, does it not elicit an emotion? So, this emotion gives thought life for that moment in time. Now, once again, let us follow the emotion. Emotions, once again, come and go. It's something that's particular to yourself alone. No one else feels your emotion but you. Others may see your reaction to the emotion, but the emotion itself is yours alone. Is emotion a concrete thing? No. You cannot have an emotion that lives independently on its own. You are the one that gives it life. Your attention to it gives it energy and life. And once again, emotions come and go like waves on an ocean, in and out, high tide, low tide. And since they're transient in nature, they're not the reality of your being, but they are ripples on the sea of consciousness. One emotion arises and is there for some time until replaced by another emotion. Once again, they're only waves and ripples without any concrete form. Emotions are created and held in place by mind and thought. And we've already seen that mind and thought have no substance and are only passing illusions. And these illusions create and sustain all the illusions, again, illusions that keep us bound. So, let us review. We know we're not the physical body, nor can we be the mind which is created by thoughts, nor are we the individual thoughts, nor are we the conglomerate of thoughts. If we are neither of these, then it follows we also cannot be the emotions which the mind and thoughts create and sustain. And isn't our whole persona just made up and held together by these illusions of mind, thought, and emotion? So let us keep going and see just what's left. My goodness, do I even exist at all? I think it's safe to say, yes, you do exist, just not in the way you thought and perceived. So, when we take away the body, the mind, the thoughts, the emotion, what's left? Okay. How do you know you have thoughts? Okay. How do you know you dream at night? Or that there were no dreams? It's because of conscious awareness. You are this conscious awareness. It sees the thoughts, but is not the thoughts. It's aware of emotions, but it's not the emotions. Okay? It's aware of form, but it's not the form. It's not concrete in nature, yet clearly it is. You are in fact no body. You are no thing. You are awareness, energy, vibration, truth, and bliss. And these are eternal in nature. They are what sustains and creates existence. All form, while appearing and disappearing, is created by these alone, and therefore always exists. The form may change, but it's eternal, for it never was the concrete illusion of truth that we see. The form may change, but it's eternal, for it never was the concrete illusion of truth which we see. So see beyond the form to the formless. See beyond the illusions of truth to the reality of truth. Now let's continue onward. Now we come to the point of pulling all this together. Since we're in reality, conscious awareness, energy and vibration and truth and bliss, just what thought or emotion or physical happening can touch us? Let me say this again. Since we are reality, conscious awareness, energy, vibration, truth, and bliss, just what thought or emotion or physical happening can touch us? None can truly touch our essence. So all the perceived traumas and hurts have happened only to this body. And you are not this body. This is how we diffuse the bondage. When the pain comes again, go into it. Let me say that again. When the pain comes again, go into it. Go to the root. There's nothing to fear except fearing the fear. So go into the fear fully and see that when you reach the end of it, okay, it will just dissipate, as it's only comprised of illusions of truth. When thoughts come and go, just see them as passing clouds with no substance. Do not give them form and life. Let them come and go like waves on the ocean. Instead of being carried away by a tidal wave, get in the boat and float downstream and enjoy the ride. Okay? When you drop the mind of thoughts and illusions, you will reach the still waters of peace that passes all understanding. Okay? This is what the Bible speaks of. The waters of peace that pass understanding. Okay? You will be the everlasting waters. You will not thirst again. You alone create the fears and bondages of life. And you have the power to let them all go. Just go into the illusion and it will dissipate before your very eyes. You will not cease to exist, nor will you find more bondage. What you find is the doorway to freedom. You have never truly been born, nor have you died. You are beyond these forms and plays of life. All this is created by mind and thought. So go beyond all these illusions to what and who you really are. Live life to the fullest. You are here to explore and be existence. So drop all the self-doubts, the illusions of truth that keep you going around and around and around, and you are life. You are bliss. When you drop the elusive mind and thought, you are Sat, which is truth. You are Chit, which is awareness. And you are Anand, which is bliss. This is the truth of your being. And what in reality can touch or harm this truth? Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So I want to just add one more thing while we're on this. If you look at emotions coming up, you look at fear, which I say go into this. If you look at it objectively and you watch what takes place when this fear arises, this overwhelming emotion hits, you will see that it's nothing more than a surge of adrenaline. Okay? It's a movement of energy. Rather than putting the spin on it, look at it and see it for what it is. A surge of adrenaline. Okay? And then you put all these thoughts on it. You put all these dramas on it. And label it fear, label it this, label it that. Okay? But if you look at it objectively, If you really sit with the mind and the body and all these experiences that one has had, then these things will begin to unravel. Like I said, if you're doing Ramana, if you're looking and you're doing this path of Advaita, okay, even if you're in the midst of a Kundalini awakening and you have excess things going on as well, and it will bring all these things from the subconscious mind up for you to experience, to be seen, to wade through. Okay, stay in that place and observe. What is this I? Continue to ask, what is this I? If it's something that comes and goes, that's not it. Because the self is unchanging is. So anything that's transient that comes and goes cannot be that permanent, cannot be that life beyond life and the death of all death. Okay? It's not that. Look deeper. Continue to look deeper. Continue to go deeper. Namaste. I hope this helps you on your journeys. Bye.